Hello, cats and kittens. Hola, Jose Yoshko. I'm back in the crisis corner to give my impressions on the Ironheart series. There are a lot of you. You'll find no shortage of people out there who are bashing Ironheart with venom and passion, and they're just eviscerating this as an affront on humanity and so forth and whatever. I don't have that much of a emotional investment in the series, but I will say off the top, I think it's a ill-conceived piece of media that should not have went out. Now, and that's my impressions, and there I have I'd say four deal breakers as to why I would five deal breakers as to why I feel that way. I have my notes, but specific reasons, and I'm not going to give a episode 1 to 6 breakdown. I don't think that's really needed. But if you'd like that type of a in-depth review, check out anybody else. I just have specific points as to why this series does not get a pass from me. It does not get a pass from me. We'll start with my first point, which is admittedly a probably a minor point, more so than the others, but still, it's a personal issue. The music, the word I have in my notes is obnoxious. It's not the type of music, mind you. I'm as black as anybody else. I like R&B. I like hip hop. Fine, it's not the type of music. It's how it's used. There's no subtlety to it. There's no nuance to it. It's just a hit list dragged out over 6 issues or 6 episodes, slapped onto certain scenes with not a whole lot of finesse. It was obnoxious. That's all I can say. It's the choices that they made and how they're applied pull me out of the story. So that's one, but that's a personal issue. That's a personal, type deal. I didn't like their musical choices or how they were used. So that's one. Issue two. We are constantly told, not shown so much, but told, especially in the early outset of the series, that Riri Williams is a genius. In no uncertain terms, we are told that. We are also told that people are trying to make her feel small, that they are taking her spot, that they are not acknowledging her genius. However, we are never shown or told who these people are. It is never shown to us who is trying to hold her down. Is it the man? Is it the system? Is who? And this has a profound impact on my third point. So, who is it that's marginalizing her? She's had an internship in Wakanda. She had 4 years at MIT. And in those 4 years, she actually created a mech Iron Man suit. Her teachers say that she's a genius. She's brilliant. Everybody in the neighborhood says that she's brilliant. The hoods that she throws in with say that she's brilliant. I see no one trying to stop her from being brilliant. Okay? So where is this opposition coming from? Who's trying to make her feel small? Because this builds resentment. This is the fuel that motivates her to, we'll get to that in the third point, but it fuels her. This outrage over the fact that these people are trying to make her feel small, trying to hold her down. Maybe it's because MIT claimed the suit that she stole as their own property, but she stole it anyway, and they never tracked her down. I mean, they know where she lives. They could just alerted the authorities in Chicago that one of our students has stole what could potentially be, a, I mean, honestly, depending on how you are, what armament you put into that suit, it could be a weapon of mass destruction. Because if you look at War Machine, it's just about what armaments were added to that suit. It could potentially be lethal. Okay, she walked away with it, and they never came to track her down and retrieve it. So, where is this opposition coming from? Okay, now that's important because the third part is she throws in with criminals. Okay, if why does she throw in with these criminals? She has she says she needs the money to build her suits, and she wants to create a suit that is the best ever Iron Man suit. I'm assuming that she's saying not including the nanotech suit that Stark made, his last known suit, the one he used in Infinity War and all that, because she does not have the materials to create that. So she must be talking about one of the earlier versions or something better than War Machine. Uh, that's my only guess. So she needs money to create that. Fine. Um, why turn to crime? If it's out of frustration from the man trying to hold you down, okay, but we've never seen that happen. So, what is the impetus for her to turn to a life of crime unless she's criminal minded and just likes committing crime? I can't remember everything that happened in Wakanda, but I know she was running scams in Wakanda forever in that film, and we know she was running scams while she was at MIT. Then, when she gets booted out of MIT, she turns to straight, not just scams, she's running actual crimes with criminals. And, she says that she doesn't want to partake, she doesn't want to see anybody get hurt. But the people that she's falling in with, two of them are known beatdown artists. I mean, they're on the crew specifically because they beat people down. And another one of them is on the crew because he's good at wielding a knife. So somebody's going to get hurt. She has to know that going in. What pushes her to become a criminal? So if you can't answer that first part as to who's holding her down, then she doesn't have a motivation to turn to crime unless she's just a bad person who wants to be a criminal. If that's the case, that's fine, honestly, because you could set up a redemption arc. I don't have to like her. I don't have to. She does not have to be extremely virtuous at the outset. That's fine. But you got to at least establish why she has such a criminal bent. Her her home life doesn't seem to be um, messed up. Her mother is fine. She does have the trauma. She's dealing with trauma, the loss of her stepfather and her best friend. That's true. Maybe that drives you to whatever, but I don't see that as, I don't know. I mean, I'm confused as to her motivations. So if she's not, her turn to criminality is unjustified from what I can see. She's just doing it because she wants the money. But then her motivations for making the suit turn out to be somewhat virtuous, but we'll get to that in a second. The criminals that she does throw in with, their plot is one of the dumbest criminal enterprises that I have ever seen in fiction. An extortion racket backed by contracts. Contracts. You extort someone, a number of CEOs. You extort them with ransomware and so forth, and tell them you sign contracts with my name and the name of the rest of the crew on there, and you're going to pay us salaries, benefits, blah, 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 whatever. So these CEOs sign contracts under coercion, and these crooks are supposed to get a payout. By signing those contracts, they set up the easiest RICO case in the history of mankind. I would just sign the contract, run back to my lawyer after they leave. It's on. Better if they threaten them with violence, if they kidnap somebody and say, even then, I would not want my name on a contract. You wire this money to this bank account in Switzerland and I'll get it by whatever means. But these people are signing contracts with the assumption that if they breach the contract, you're going to march into court and try to file suit against someone whom you're extorting. That is the dumbest thing. That's on the writers. That just tells me that the writers of this show do not understand crime. They're stupid or just short sighted. So that pulls me out of the movie entirely. It just doesn't work. Okay, so we got the music. We have the lack of any opposition to Riri's um, attempts to be a great person and to pursue a life with her genius and do all kinds of cool stuff. We got the stupid extortion racket. We have, what else did I mention? Um, yeah, I said the music, there's no opposition to her genius, which makes her extortion racket unjustified. Then you have this point, Riri is again a genius, and she creates these armbands or whatever that generate a force field that activate at the sound of gunfire, therefore protecting anyone who's uh, wearing the armband or watch. It's like a watch type situation. Now, she wants money to build her Iron Man suits, but she creates this advanced defense system. The obvious question is, why don't you sell the armband thingy, sell the patent to the armband, then you get the money to, build your Iron Man suits. This is, I mean, there's your money right there. So again, her criminal enterprise is completely unjustified. For all this talk about being marginalized and being held down by society, no one's holding her down, and she could easily make money if she wanted to. But the writers don't seem to understand that they paint themselves into a corner by giving her this device, which is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. She could sell that and make money. Now, this goes into another issue where her motivation, during the course of the film, she says, she keeps saying that her motivation is for making her suit is because she can. She keeps saying that, but ultimately we find out that, or she says that the motivation for making the suit is to protect her family because she's traumatized by the loss of her stepfather and best friend in a drive-by shooting. Okay, once she made that wristband that protects people from gunfire, that's it. Boom. Case closed. That's how you protect your family. Because even if you make that Iron Man suit, that's just one suit. Unless you're going to make one for everybody that you love, you know, that motor, it doesn't make sense. Once you make the armbands, distribute them as she did in the movie or in the show, distribute them to the people that you intend to protect, and they should be good unless somebody, walks up on them and knifes them to death. But at least if they can activate device in time, they should be able to avoid most injuries. Now, this also goes into a minor point as to the shooting itself that traumatizes her. If this was a random shooting, again, the trauma is fine. I don't have a problem with the trauma. Somehow I get the sense that if the series continued, we would find out that there was more to that shooting than meets the eye. Because if this was a random shooting, her desire to protect her family is just to protect them from random violence. I mean, no one's out to get her. You know, it's not as if she crossed Al Capone and she knows that the Capone gang is at some point going to come and look for revenge. Nobody's after her. Dad and her best friend just got caught in a bad situation. They got shot, which is weird because it seems really random. I mean, she lives in the inner city, but it doesn't really look like the hood. You know what I mean? I've seen the hood proper. Where she lives like she lives in a neighborhood. Not the best, not the worst. You know, guns aren't going off all the time in her neighborhood. She walks the street basically with impunity. It, it looks like a neighborhood out of like a Spike Lee movie, like one of his Brooklyn Spike Lee movies. Not the hood, but just a neighborhood. So there's no imminent threat to her family. Furthermore, she was away from home for 4 years in MIT trying to create her suit, and her family was unprotected for 4 years. So I don't get it. If she wanted to protect her family, she would have stayed in Chicago and figured out some kind of way to protect them that way. If that was the motivation for her to be great or to create that suit. So all of that stuff just doesn't play. She could have had money easily, and she could have. The minute she devised that watch, her family was straight to the best of her ability. So that goes out the window. And I'm just rounded out with my last point. The dialogue seems like it was AI generated at times. It's just bad at times. Um, there's not any other way I can put it. So it's not an effective series. It's just to me, this is the best that Marvel, uh, Disney Plus Marvel can do at this time. This was no better than Captain America: Brave New World, which was pretty bad. But this is on that level, so this is the best that they can do. Um, and it's sad, but you know, it is what it is. So Ironheart, it's a bad piece of media. It's ill conceived. It shows that Marvel is right now, at least Disney Marvel, well, Marvel in general, is just in a bad place, and there hasn't been any progress made since the She-Hulks and the Echoes and all of that stuff. All that stuff is on a flat line. Just there was a slow descent, and then it just hit this valley of nonsense. That's just where it is, and that's just they're stuck there. We got Fantastic Four coming up next. I want to hold out hope that Fantastic Four is at least good. I don't hold out a whole lot of hope, but I am a huge Fantastic Four fan. I mean, huge. I love that IP dearly. So I'm going to hope against hope that they do at least a credible job with it so that I can enjoy my favorite, maybe my second favorite um, comic book IP on the big screen. I can only hope. But as for Ironheart, nobody asked for this, and you get what you paid for. Let me know what you think. I'm sure there are people who liked it. As a matter of fact, I know there are people who liked it. And if you liked it, man, props to you. It wasn't for me. And there's a lot of other stuff. The White Castle fight was just ridiculous. Like I said, I don't want to get into the whole of it because that takes too long, and I don't want to knock the IP or the attempts of the creators, but so much. But I'm not going to give you props for serving this up. That's all I can say. Anyway, let me know what you think. Hopefully, better things are on the way. Let's just hope for the best. So until next time, I guess you can say this is from the movie corner, from the Crisis Corner. Hope you enjoy something, a good piece of media out there. Until next time, stay loose.